Does that motion be agreed to? The Honourable Dave Grills.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's nice to hear such robust debate on this matter when it comes to regional hospitals, but I guess it's one of those emotive things, and I would say that we hope it never happens, but if you're ever touring around our great state and something befalls you whilst you're out in regional WA, I'm sure you'd want the best care for yourself or your member of the family if you're in regional WA, because that's what we're fighting for, and that's why I'm speaking today and seeking your support to keep royalties for regions strong for regional WA as well as all of WA. Given the recent comments by the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, in particular those of their Chief Economist, Mr John Nicolao, who said the government simply can't afford to associate a fixed percentage of a growing revenue base to one particular program, when he was referring to the Nationals WA Royalties for a Regional program. And I can give you 1 billion reasons why royalties for regions should be around, and why, when the opposition actually calls for royalties for regions to be dipped into more often to pay for key projects, it's timely to reflect on the significant role that Royalties for Regions program has on regional communities and the wider regional WA economy. Mr Nicolao's comments are, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry says the government cannot afford to associate a fixed percentage of a growing revenue base to one particular program. And 5 years on, Mr Nicolao has some serious concerns about its long-term future. He wants the state's economic regulator to review the Royalties for Regions program and believes there is no time like the present and no time to waste after West Australia lost its AAA credit rating. However, in the last budget, more than $500 million was cut from the program to help improve the state's bottom line. And $500 million isn't a commitment. Well. And then the opposition's Ben Wyatt calls for Royalties for Regions money to be dipped in as well for key projects, including the extra floor on the new Children's Hospital. He also says that we need to be much more open in how we spend Royalties for Regions money. And, you know, there are plenty of opportunities for members on the other side to get the facts, which the facts usually are pretty scarce in any debate or argument from the other side. Yes, the Honourable Darren West, you can hold that up, and I'll hold one up too, but that's irrelevant to what we're talking about here. The WA Nationals are adamant that the program will remain, and as our leader Brendan Grills has said, he and every one of us will fight to our last political breaths to ensure that happens. And in fact, the Treasurer says the program will there will be some ongoing changes, but he says there is no need for radical reform. So we have the Chamber of Commerce and Industry with their metrocentric view on the world. However, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the regional WA sees things a bit different, especially where I live, Kalgoorlie-Boulder, where the regional chambers, Hugh Gallagher, says Country WA needs to send a clear message that the program has been embraced and has made significant impact. And that's the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, who in Perth, with their metrocentric views of the world, would say that it's not working, whereas in regional WA, where Royalties for Regions has its best opportunity to have an impact, and where we, as regional members, work our hardest to ensure it stays there, these are the people you want to listen to. These are facts, the people you want to listen to, because these are the ones that are saying it. And I quote, "Items that are traditionally funded out of consolidated revenue, now they're directing it towards Royalties for Regions if the spend is in the regions," Mr Gallagher said. Slowly but surely, Royalties for Regions is changing right now, but I think it's really important we as regional West Australians keep telling the decision makers that it's working. Mr Gallagher also says it's an ongoing battle to keep the program in place. Quite obviously, we can't agree with the Chamber of Commerce and Industries WA, he said. Royalties for Regions is really for the regions. It's been embraced by the regions. It's been embraced by government. I can understand where the Chamber of Commerce and Industry WA come from, but I think the regions need to give a clear message to the Chamber of Commerce Industry WA and also the opposition. So what that's saying to you then is the people that you claim to go out and speak to whilst you're out in the country, when you get across the escarpment and you go out into regional WA, these are the people that are telling you this. Obviously, you're either not talking to the right people, or as is usual, you're not listening. They're just making it up as they go along. Absolutely, because it sounds good. Never let the facts stand in the way of a good argument. So what I'm doing is presenting some facts, which are readily available for everybody to look at. Royalties for Regions is based on a simple premise that most business and government will understand. It's not possible to build a business, in this instance, a state, without investment in areas that drive the economy. We see investment as a holistic concept. It's about investment in infrastructure, ports, railways, roads, that supports expansions of industries. Yesterday, with the news from Broome, the intermodal hub, Kalgoorlie-Boulder, all these things that take what we have in our state, the resources in our state, and move them from where they are. The $300 million National's vision for agriculture that talks about getting produce to port, all these sorts of things. These are facts. This is what Royalties for Regions pays for in the future. Correction, pays for in the regions. And this is what helps the economy in the state grow. So really, can you argue that the various streams that make up the Royalties for Regions program, infrastructure, education, health, industry, land development, are not really priority areas? Well, they are for regional WA, and they should be for metropolitan WA. Because this investment stimulates private investment, and we've seen that in regional WA. This investment in critical areas will eventually impact on productivity. It's harder for people to get their produce, harder for them to do things when you make it hard, when you stand on the hose. And standing on the hose is counterproductive. And if we looked at it and thought, well, if it's good for the bush, it's good for the metro. If it's good for the metro, it's good for the bush. The Royalties for Regions program was introduced with the passing of the Royalties for Regions Act in 2009. Royalties for Regions consists of the subsidiary accounts that are described in section 5 of that Act. The accounts are Country Local Government Fund. It's going good actually, since you asked. And if you want to know more about that, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, I've got a frequently asked questions document here that will answer any question you'd like to ask. The Royalties for Regions program consists of the subsidiary accounts that are described in section 5 of the Act. Country Local Government Fund. Since 2008-2009, $750 million of Royalties for Regions money has been provided directly to local government. With $320 million over 4 years and $90 million over the next 4 years to finish programs that have started and to top up existing programs. Regional Community Service Fund, the Regional Infrastructure and Headworks Fund, and any other account determined by the Treasurer on the recommendation of the Minister to be a subsidiary account. So what that's saying then is with Regional Infrastructure and Headworks Fund is it's giving people opportunity to build in the bush. It's giving people opportunity to be able to build a home and go to the country towns and bring their families and do the things that need to do to grow that. The comment that Royalties for Regions funding is distributed to one program is misleading, given that these several subsidiary funds exist. There's also been some question with regard to limits on the fund and how it works, and fiscal responsibility and reviewing and processing, reviewing and processing the Royalties for Regions. So I'll just touch on that briefly. Section 8 of the Royalties for Regions Act 2009 provides that the Treasurer is to ensure that the amount of money standing to the credit of the fund at any time does not exceed $1 billion. This ensures that regional Western Australians and the wider West Australia economy are able to enjoy the benefits of the fund in a timely fashion, and the pooling of money is discouraged. Fiscal responsibility. As you're aware, following the budget announcement, the Nationals WA, as members of an alliance government, have made appropriate amendments to the Royalties for Regions program to ensure that a sound financial budget was delivered for the state. The Country Local Government Fund has been amended. The Country Local Government Fund has been amended in a bid to save $350 million over 4 years. That's a fact, the Honourable Darren West. This is an example of the Nationals WA acting in a fiscally responsible manner in the best interest of the state. So there we are, we're saying that yes, we realise that there are things to be done, and like I'm fond of saying, change is a constant, development is optional. We understand that. There is a review audit procedure for Royalties for Regions, and that's in the Act as well, in the West Australian Regional Development Trust. So this is all available for you to look at in the Act when you ask the questions about this, because I seem to remember, not that I was in this place, but I seem to remember that anything that goes through this place and the other place has to be voted on, and has to be done on a majority to become a bill. Royalties for Regions is currently subject of review by the Office of the Auditor General, and the audit will assess if Royalties for Regions projects are delivered intended benefits to regional Western Australia. So if we had the Shadow Minister for Regional Development had his way, I'm sure that regional WA would lose out, because the railway line in Perth would work for people from regional WA, because I might come from Kalgoorlie and want to catch a train and go somewhere. So me being a regional person, that would justify the fact that that money is out of regional WA and spent here. Through all my travels throughout this vast state, and mining and pastoral, which is a fair chunk of this vast state, I can say that the feedback that I receive from people about Royalties for Regions and how it's benefiting regional WA, both socially, culturally and economically, cannot be understated. When the Honourable Jackie Boydell spoke of treating people in their hometowns, in country, it's quite obvious that not everybody can come to regional WA, but when we talk about treating people in their homelands, and you know, I'm sure if the Honourable Steve Dawson was here, he'd back this, that with Aboriginal people, the worst thing to do is to take a person who is suffering already, ill, and take them away from their family, from their country. Now, what you're saying is that we don't invest that back into regional WA, then everybody would have to come here. And I'm sure you'd agree, that's not the best option. Well, what are you saying then?
We're not saying anything, you're the one talking.
Yeah, well, you know. Well, I know what I'm talking about.
That's good, that's a good start.
It is a good start, isn't it?
You're setting a fine example to the Labor Party.
Thank you very much, because I've happened to work with quite a few Aboriginal people in quite a few circumstances in quite a few places, and I'm qualified, more than qualified, to talk to somebody who thinks that the East Metro area, the North Metro area, qualifies them to speak on matters like that. I'm thinking that we're talking about regional hospitals like when the other side are talking about Armidale and Joondalup. I'm thinking, how long before Armidale and Joondalup become regional WA? I, along with my national colleagues, welcome the release of the Auditor General's report and welcome the debate that we've had in this place today. And I thank you for your time.